Morning. You got Dick Ritchie here with AOK Product Reviews, and let's talk about work. And today, first, real quick, this week's giveaway: Sativian ST110, Micarta D2, Axis Lock, Deep Pocket Carry, barrel spacers, bearings. Good knife. Week 20 giveaway. I'll announce this on Friday. Let's talk about, it's been nudging me to talk about work ethics. Now, work ethics in America, if you ask me, are pretty high level. I think even a poor work ethic in America could be translated into Europe as being a semi-strong work ethic. And when I say that, I'm probably also jogging over to customer service as being part of a work ethic, because it's kind of hand in hand, if you ask me. You know, if you take pride in your job and you show up and you make sure the customer gets taken care of and your customer service is strong, that kind of translates over to work ethic, if you ask me. Now, yes, you could have great customer service, but really poor attendance rate. You could have a really poor tardiness, whatever it may be. You may have a poor attitude with your coworkers, with your ordinance, subordinates kind of stuff. So this doesn't go across the board in that sense. But what I want to talk about is this illusion that at least people I know, and myself specifically, that you're irreplaceable, that you're not replaceable, that in your job, in your work field, that there's just nobody that can do your job as good or better or even close. Sorry, folks, that's just not true. I've been in a couple situations in my careers, and I say careers because I'm one of those guys that did not stay with one company, one career path, one skill set for very long in his life. I'm 53 years old, but I've had some pretty good jobs, and I've had some pretty good roles in these jobs where I was always a firm believer in making yourself valuable. You needed to be of value to that company for you to have any security in your life. So I would gravitate my role towards that black hole. And when I say black hole, if you have a business and you have a certain area in that business that's extremely difficult, technical, intense, hard to do, people don't like, people don't want to do, some people don't even have the aptitude for it, I would gravitate to that. And I would gravitate to it on purpose. I would also gravitate to it subconsciously. I would be like, something would be telling me, you need to do that job. You were hired to do this job, but you need to move yourself over to that sector of this business in order for you to have some form of longevity, safety, security. Because if you haven't noticed in my channel, I'm a volatile character. I could be one way today and another way tomorrow. I kind of keep it real. I can do politics and diplomacy on some chords, but for the most part, screw that stuff. I've always been that way. If diplomacy or being nice is called for over principle, I never play. I never have. I mean, I've got some great stories, believe it or not, where I've just completely abandoned what would be considered career suicide or whatever to some people. But what it did for me was boost me even further. Because being a man of character, being a man of principle is the most important thing to me, next to respect and consideration. you need to respect me, and you need to keep me in consideration if you want to maintain this between the two of us. Because I'm going to do that. I'm going to afford that to you. I'm going to try my hardest, if you deserve it, to treat you with respect and consideration. It's just what I'm going to do. If you challenge that with me, and you show, and this is the hard thing about being this way, folks, is that you may be disrespected or feel disrespected, or not considered properly, and those people not even know that they did that. That's the problem with that. You got to watch. You got to be real careful with that. You got to be able to take a step back, review what made you feel disrespected, and say, now, does this person garnish the ability to understand what they might have just done, compromised a work relationship, friendship, so on and so forth? Because a lot of times there's people out there that lack that ability to understand it. Hey, I stepped out of bounds with this guy. Yeah, it was just my toe, but it's still out of bounds. To the person that was disrespected, that takes it serious. They're just saying, oh, it's just my toe was out of bounds. Well, you know what? In the NFL or anything, even little Bantam football league, if your toe goes out and the referee sees it, you're out of bounds. So it doesn't matter if it's your foot, your toe, your head, your body, whatever. You're out of bounds. But if you're overly sensitive about it, like I can be, you might want to explain it to those people, or you might want to make yourself more clear to them. Hey, before we go on with this friendship or this work relationship, you need to know that I have certain measures of what's important to me, and respect is a very high thing. And if you compromise that, you and I are probably going to have a problem. Now, that's not the best way to start a friendship or a work relationship necessarily. It's pretty in your face, but hey, let's get back on track. Work ethic and a misunderstanding of your importance in the work market. Because I once had a job where I was a plant manager for a medical oxygen company in New Jersey, and I worked my ass off. I ran the whole show. I was the main guy there. I carried and wore several hats, and I was overworking myself. I was killing myself, and I was a mess. Was my branch doing good? It was doing great. Or my, was my overtime under 8%? Was my, cost of goods, my P&L, was everything looking great? Sure, it was phenomenal. I was bringing approximately 30 some grand to the bottom line myself, just filling liquid oxygen tanks myself. A lot of that came from the fact that my it's a larger company. I was just a New Jersey branch. They didn't want me to hire another person to do that. So what happens? You got to have it done. So I was doing it. So a month, I was filling approximately $30,000 worth of liquid oxygen for the company while running the branch, while doing everything else. Yeah, it was stupid. So it was time for me to go. It was burning me out. Another opportunity came up here in Indiana. And I said, hey, I'm going to put in my, and also there was other stuff. But I said, I'm going to put in my, I think I put in a 2-month notice. That's how committed I was to the company, committed I was to the people that worked there for me. I was like, I cannot just up and go. There's no way. I was semi-disgruntled with a certain manager, but that kind of went away right around that same time, conveniently. And I still was like, hey, I've already committed to another company. So as much as I'd like to do a U-turn and come back and not leave, I still think there's bigger problems that you may not be willing to address to help get me where I want and need to be. But I gave that company approximately 2 months notice. I gotta believe it. I can't really remember because it was 20 years ago. Gave them 2 months notice, thinking, okay, this should be plenty of time for me to find another me out there to do this job. Otherwise, this branch is going to die. It's going to go away. You know what happened? For 2 months straight, I kept doing what I was doing, and the company made no effort to hire another replacement. Yeah. At 2 months, I left. They had a sales guy kind of filling in my spot that just didn't want to do what I did. And I think he disappeared. And then maybe somebody else, and then who knows? I don't even know. I kept in touch with a couple people that would tell me on occasion, but for the most part, never really knew. But I do know that branch stayed alive, is doing fine, still doing fine, did fine, and they didn't really miss a beat without me. I thought for sure at that moment in my life, I was that important to a situation that it would crumble if I walked away. And it didn't. It didn't even come close. It wasn't even a little crack in the structure. Nothing. Sometimes people need these, they need these little, what would you call it? They need these little events in their life to know or learn or understand just how unimportant most of us really are. And then we need to take back our lives. We got to take back our freedoms. We got to take back you got to take it back. At that point, when you learn that and you know that, what did I do? I went on to the next place, did the same thing in a sense. Same thing happened. Same thing. Thought I was very important to that company. You know that if I left, man, there's just not going to be anybody that's going to do what I do because nobody's going to want to do it. Somebody did it. Or they just said, hey, well, we're not really going to focus on that as much, and we're going to move over, shift gears over to here. We're going to make Connie do what Rich was doing there, but she's going to do it over here, make up for where that is, because we're going to walk away from that. That's what big companies can do. They can cut losses, and you could be a loss cut that easily. So there's so many people out there that are walking around thinking, oh, my work ethic, it's strong. You know, I don't take sick days. I don't do this. I do that. I do all this. I do this. And then at the end of the day, they're not treated any differently. They're not paid any more money. They are literally compromising their family life and their personal life and their ability to rest, relax, decompress from stress, whatever it may be. And they don't realize they're killing themselves quickly, not slowly, not gradually, quickly. Because one thing I know is stress, the stress of work, the stress of everything around work is a killer. It's a true killer. And you say, well, how do you know this? Why do you say this? Well, because 10 years ago, I started my own company and I was able to work for myself. Talking about one of the most enlightening situations in a human being's life is when they are good at something, they do it, and they do it solely for themselves. You find out just how quick that manager, that company, that owner, that coworker, that subordinate, whatever it may be, was killing you. Yeah. I mean, I've made the mistake of hiring somebody with this company briefly, and it about killed me. It drove me nuts having somebody work for me here. I wanted to help. I didn't need to help. I also wanted to help them. That's another problem. Don't ever hire somebody to help them. Now you're connected to that person personally, though. Not just through the job, not occupationally, personally. And if you're a halfway decent person and you're connected to somebody personal, it makes it really difficult to terminate. It makes it really difficult to discipline. It makes it really difficult to make the changes necessary to make that person stay. My wife is a school teacher, and she's been at the same school for about 14 years now, I think. She's the most senior teacher in the school, and she's 47 years old, 48, something like that. She's still relatively young, and she's the most senior person in the building. crazy. She has over 90 sick days. She's always prided herself on not being one of those teachers that takes all their days and always has a substitute teacher, and just, she's prided herself on that. Now, yeah, you're kind of like, oh, well, that's great, man. She's special. No, not at all. She literally feels like she teaches first grade. She literally feels like if she misses a day of work, that those kids will never be able to add. They may never be able to read if she misses one day of work. Now, one good gripe she does have when she misses work is things don't get done properly because you're relying on somebody else to do your job for you. So you're going to come back to a mess one way or another, most likely. Is that really worth all the headaches of like going to work sick, going to work even though if you took that day off, you could have gotten a lot of things done at home in your life, but you chose to go work that 8 hours because God forbid you miss a day of work. So now you're compromising your life. You're compromising your life, your family, your friends, whatever it may be. And all you had to do is take that one day off, and you had 90. You got 90 days. I mean, I'm on my wife hard now. I'm like, listen, we have life things going on. You've got to take a day off. I'm sorry. And now she knows if we have something or she has something that she needs to get done personally and can't be done outside of the work week, that I'm going to be on her hard for not taking a day off. A deserved day off. She's working on it. It's still very tough for her, but she's working on it. You've got to force your partners, people close to you in your life, to take back their lives, to fight this thing called work ethic. Because don't you hear people talking out there that, they're out there working their butt off and they're killing themselves for the job, but they don't get anything in return. If anything, their boss doesn't really care either way. They don't treat them any more special. They don't give them any more money. They literally add more tasks to that person who seems to be the most competent, while the person that's less competent is doing half of what that person does for the same pay, and they're leaving earlier, and they're taking days off when they need it. And that boss is just as chummy with that person as they are with the person that's overcommitted. I think there's a happy medium in there when it comes to work. You need to find it, And when you need to take a day off or you need to take care of something in your life, do it. And don't care about what anybody thinks. Even your boss. Look your boss straight in the face. And if, this is what I did, and this is not great advice for everybody. But it's good advice in the sense that if you want to own your life and you want to own yourself and you want to own your time, your boss needs to know and your coworkers need to know that Rich is going to get the job done, but he's going to do it on his terms. Some people are accepting of that because they just want the job done too. Some people aren't because they want to control you. So you'll learn real quick, do you fit there? Or would it be a healthy fit? Real quick, if you just make it clear that you have terms. And your terms are, I will get the job done that you pay me to do, but I will do it on my time frame, on my accord. I will meet your deadlines. I will get it done above or beyond the quality, the whatever, the quantity required, but it will be on my terms. Yes. And that this job will never chain me. It will never put a chain on my life. So you need to at least do that. When you hire me, that you're hiring somebody that's very Simple yet complicated. I'm simple if you want the job done and you want to pay a person to do the job and you want it done good, but I'm complicated if you want to do more above that to me without compensation or any kind of consideration. At that point, I become very complicated. I become a very tough person to handle. I become that unbridled horse. Yeah. Stallion. That's a push. But you know what I'm saying. I'll kick, I'll buck. But what I really wanted to make clear is that we're all replaceable. We're all very replaceable. I've yet to meet anybody that's not replaceable. Even geniuses are replaceable. Astronauts are replaceable. So try your hardest to make yourself as non-replaceable or irreplaceable as possible while understanding that you are replaceable. You could still have employers, managers, whatever, that don't understand that concept either, and they're going to be like, this person's not replaceable. I have to keep them happy. If you have that, you're lucky. Never play games with that. Don't compromise that. Keep it the way it's going and be happy, and you may be an appreciated employee. It's kind of rare these days. Globalization is destroying that slowly because they want a fair playing ground across the board, and what that does is that dumbs down the market. It dumbs down the field. And as I was saying, guys like me or you who work really hard, feel that they're not replaceable, that go above and beyond, they stop doing that at some point. There is a point where they'll say, no mas. I'm out. I'm checking out. I'm going to do the job, and then that's it. Well, when that happens, your high level of quality goes away. America's always been great and will remain being great as long as we can keep the strength of our people in the working class strong. Keep them supported, understood, and that we embrace and we don't lose this pride in work and this pride in occupation that Americans have had. It's slowly going away, and it may just go. And then we're just going to be another country that's just kind of out there with a bad infrastructure and a underpaid or a understaffed military, and then we may get ourselves in situations where we're no longer supreme. That could be a good thing. There's a lot of countries out there that don't focus on the military, that don't get bothered either. They have strong allies, and they work 4 to 8 weeks and 6-hour days, and they're doing great. We could be that, maybe. I don't see that. Not for America, because we like things supersized. So you got to work that extra hour to get that supersized fry on the end of the week. We're very replaceable. Everybody, extremely replaceable.